Note: this story is from a boy's perspective, but it will be narrated with a female voiceover. So let's begin. I was a kind of teenager thinking I'm invincible and that the world revolves around me. It was just another ordinary day at high school, or so I thought. But then, I made one of the dumbest decisions of my life. I got wasted. I mean, absolutely hammered. And not just at some weekend party. No, I got wasted at school. It was a regular Friday, and my friends and I decided it would be a genius idea to sneak some alcohol into school. We figured we could make it through the day with a little buzz, have some laughs, and be the coolest kids around. But things escalated quickly. By lunchtime, I was already blacked out. My friends kept an eye on me, trying to keep me out of trouble, but I was a mess. Somehow, I managed to make it to the end of the school day without getting caught. The final bell rang, and everyone started heading home. My friend, who was my designated driver, helped me to his car. Now, here's where things took a turn for the worse. In my drunken stupor, I suddenly remembered I had a sister who needed a ride home. I was convinced she was still at school waiting for me, even though I had no sister at that school. I insisted we go back to pick her up. My friend, being the reasonable one, tried to explain that my sister had already left. But my drunk brain wasn't having it. I thought he was trying to convince me to abandon her. I got really worked up, accusing him of being heartless. We argued the entire way back to school, my friend trying to talk sense into me and me being stubborn and belligerent. We pulled into the school parking lot, which was eerily empty by now. I stumbled out of the car, determined to find my imaginary sister. My friend followed, still trying to calm me down. We made our way through the deserted hallways, and that's when things got physical. I don't remember much, but according to my friend, I threw the first punch. He retaliated, and soon we were brawling right there in the school hallway, long after school hours. The noise must have alerted someone, because before we knew it, the cops showed up. They broke up the fight and took me into custody. My friend tried to explain what had happened, but the cops weren't interested. They took me to detox, and as if things couldn't get any worse, my blood alcohol content was still rising. I ended up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. When I finally came to, I was in a hospital bed with a pounding headache. The nurse told me that my grandma had come to see me, the sweetest, kindest woman you could imagine. But in my drunken state, I had cussed her out. That hit me hard. I felt like the lowest piece of scum on the planet. Here I was, lying in a hospital bed, having disrespected the person who loved me unconditionally. It was a real low point for me. I got suspended for 2 weeks, which honestly felt like a blessing. I needed time to sober up and reflect on my actions. During that suspension, I promised myself I'd get my act together. But as they say, old habits die hard. The day I returned to school after my suspension, you'd think I'd be on my best behavior, right? Nope. I was still in that rebellious teenager phase, thinking the rules didn't apply to me. That very day, during a moment of sheer stupidity, I decided it would be hilarious to pee in one of the teacher's gas tanks. Why? I have no idea. It was just another dumb idea that seemed funny at the time. Of course, I got caught. There I was, in broad daylight, with my pants down, relieving myself into a gas tank. Another 2-week suspension followed, and this time, the disappointment from my parents and teachers was palpable. I had really messed up. During those second 2 weeks, I did a lot of soul-searching. I realized that I was on a path to self-destruction, and if I didn't change my ways, I'd end up in a far worse place than suspension. I started talking to a school counselor who helped me understand the underlying issues driving my behavior. It wasn't easy, but I gradually began to turn things around. When I finally returned to school for good, I made a conscious effort to stay out of trouble. I focused on my studies, distanced myself from bad influences, and tried to rebuild my tarnished reputation. It was a long road, but I'm proud to say I eventually graduated and moved on to better things. Looking back, I cringe at the thought of how stupid I was as a teenager. Getting wasted at school, fighting my friend, peeing in a teacher's gas tank, these are not exactly proud moments. But they taught me valuable lessons about responsibility, respect, and the importance of making better choices. So, if you're ever feeling like a total screw-up, just remember this story. We all do dumb things as teenagers, but it's never too late to turn things around. Learn from your mistakes, make amends where you can, and strive to be a better person. Trust me, your future self will thank you for it.